So you're going to call the defense, right?
Yes, sir.
Talk about why two co-DCs. What's the purpose behind that?
Well, I think that's something for Coach DeBoer to answer. But obviously, Coach Inge is a great partner and does a fantastic job. And both he and I have an unbelievable relationship. And so, it's really we've been working hand in hand as we've been developing the defense here. And so far, it's been going great.
What's the biggest difference between what we saw last year with the Husky defense compared to what you're going to put in?
Well, there's quite a few changes. Obviously, structurally, we're doing some things that are a little bit differently. We'll be very driven in terms of being a pressure-oriented defense and really being in an attack mode. And so I think that'll be one of the primary differences that'll be out there. And, the great thing is we got some great pieces with some experience coming back, especially in the back half at the safety position where we can count on some guys to get us into some different pictures. I think one of the biggest things these days where the rules have really kind of leaned a little bit towards the offense, schematically, you got to be able to show a lot of different moving pieces out there in order to keep offenses off schedule.
What would be the most noticeable difference when we see them line up, per se?
Well, we're going to be in a four down front, I guess, so that would be the first one. I think they're obviously primarily being in an odd structure here the last several years, and so we'll be in a little more of a balanced, even front, and that'll be kind of our number one defensive front that we'll be coming out of.
Chuck, do you have the players that you need here, you think, to stop the run consistently, and what do you specifically need to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think, first of all, it's going to rely on the guys up front, and everything starts up front. So, it's nice having some guys back that have some experience. Great getting ZTF back. It's, you've got Jeremiah Martin, Braylon Trice has had a great offseason here for us. Thule in the middle's got some great experience. And then obviously taking a guy from the other side of the ball like MJ. I mean, MJ's a mass of humanity. There's no doubt you stick him in an A gap, and we know he's going to be able to hold it down in there. So we're really excited about transitioning him to the other side of the ball.
What have been your impressions of ZTF from first glance there?
Just really, got great flexibility. He's got some tremendous athleticism and really savvy, in terms of his ability to come off the edge and be able to impact the quarterback. And as much as it is about getting quarterback sacks these days, it's about getting a quarterback off their spot and messing with their timing quite a bit. And I think he's a guy that can win in the pass rush game on a pretty regular basis. And that's going to be an asset to our guys that are covering down the field.
Chuck, do you have any thoughts on watching the tape last year? What led to these massive rushing yards?
And I told this to the guys day one when I came in here. I'm not here to evaluate anything previously. We've evaluated the guys and their talent levels, but one thing I know for sure in this business, 25 years in, and that everybody that sits in these roles works their tails off, and sometimes things don't go correctly. So, there's certain things we got to do, gap wise to shore up our run defense, but at the same standpoint, I'm never going to put myself in a position to criticize what's been done before me.
On the topic of ZTF, a couple years ago when he had all that success, he was listed here as 280. I know he's 241 right now officially. Do you think he's in a good place physically to do what he needs to do, or just how would you?
Yeah, well, no, I think I think it's been obviously the recovery process, especially with his type of injury, is something that's always a concern, right? It's one of those injuries that takes a long time to come back from, and so just seeing him in the winter training and the winter conditioning, he looks great. He's got great twitch to him. He's become explosive, and sometimes being explosive after that type of an injury is certainly an issue. And so far, I think he's doing a great job for us.
Coach, the last several years, the strength of the defense has been the defensive secondary. How much different is it what you're teaching in scheme running, or is it basically the same as they were doing before, and how much of that?
Well, there's the alphabet of coverages out there, right? There's every sort of coverage concepts that's out there, and we'll certainly bring forward some different coverage concepts, but there's no doubt that the system is driven by the back half, and the system that we'll be running is driven by the back half, and that's something we obviously did at Fresno. Had a great player, first team all conference player in Evan Williams that led our team in tackles a year ago. I certainly expect guys like Alexander Cook and Asa Turner, and there's a lot of guys back there that have some great experience that are going to be impact players. We've got to have them around the ball as much as possible.
3 months in, how long do you think, kind of like based on a timeline you kind of thought of going in, installing your culture and scheme and all that, are there some things that have been faster or that take him longer?
I think the true blessing, coming in here is some veteran guys with some really strong football IQ, and that's exciting. I think we walk in and we can start out day one. I mean, we always start with a football. Here's a football. I mean, you just start out with the basics, and you find out pretty quickly, especially with some of the older guys, that we can advance pretty quickly. And so I think that's a net benefit, that these guys are thirsty for knowledge. They're starving. They've got the right mentality, and you can start out talking advanced football with them early in the process. So I would say definitely what I had walked in here in terms of expectation wise and where we're at today, I feel like we're ahead of the game.
Chuck, you obviously had quite a history with Kalen, and I read something that you said when you left Montana Tech about there's only a couple people that you'd leave there to work for, and he's one of them. I'm wondering, what is it about him that makes you want to follow him and stay on staff with him?
Try to get me to cry during a press conference here. Just the culture and the character of who he is. I think when you're in this profession, and a lot of people, you guys have been around it, obviously reporting on it for a while. I mean, it's a challenging profession, and I think what's really important when you find out when you get further in your career, and like I said, I'm almost a quarter century into the business now. It's really about, because we spend an incredible amount of time together. It's really about enjoying the people that you work for, that have shared ideals, shared beliefs, shared culture, and those things become more important to you than anything else. That's the job, the location, where it's at. It's more about who it's with. And obviously known Kalen for going on close to 30 years now, and he's represented all those things at the top end of the spectrum. And our beliefs are very much aligned. And so, when I got an opportunity to come back and work with him again, for me, it was a no-brainer, just because of my comfort level and the person and how he's going to operate a program. And I think, there's really decisions to be made these days about how you're going to operate a program. And I know he's going to do it first class the whole way, and that's something that I want to be involved with.
How important is it to have a close-knit staff like that? Why do you guys go back so far?
Yeah, well, I think you look across our staff. I mean, it's incredible. The relationships that are there, and it's just instantaneous trust when you've been with somebody, whether it's at a previous stop or if it was years ago that you work with them, or even some friendships that were formed here while we were at Fresno. I can look at every guy that's in that full-time staff room and know that I trust them. That's for me personally, and I think that's reciprocated across the board, and I think that allows you to be your best on when you're installing systems or developing culture or on game day. When you've got that implicit trust with the guys that you're surrounded by, I think it's one of those things that allows you to be a part of something that's bigger than yourself, and it allows you to be very successful.
What does that do to the football, the kids, the young men, when they see that the staff genuinely has integrity and trust? Mm-hmm. What does that do in terms of?
Well, I think that's part of the culture piece that trickles down to them. And I think, that's always something that, we're pressing on those guys every day, and buying into each other and trusting one another and trusting the coaches and trusting the strength staff. And there's so many things where you could put the word trust at the beginning of the sentence and say that's a critical component to any successful college football team. And I think when you can display that to these young men that we trust each other, it's going to give them belief in us, and it's going to give them a belief in each other, which is paramount to being able to get W's.
Chuck, you have three really good inside linebackers. In trying to figure out what you're going to do with your alignment, could those three guys be on the field at the same time?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you're not in the mode these days of being able to sub-package and being exotics on third down, I mean, I think you're crazy. You got to be able to do those things. So, I think it's our job once we can get the offense, if we can get them off schedule, we can get them into third and long scenarios, we've got to put as many athletes on the field as possible. And so I think you'll find guys that'll end up, maybe playing a little different position than they normally would in our base package when it gets to some third down scenarios.
How important was it getting a guy like Cam Bright in here who's got starting experience, team captain? How important was that, and how has he integrated himself into the defense of guys that he's only been with for a couple months now?
Yeah, well, he's actually been here for 2 days. So he's just starting with us here, so I don't have a lot of answers for you, but we're excited about him. Obviously played at an extremely high level. I know he's got fantastic football IQ, very intelligent, and has a lot of snaps under his belt. So, obviously it's going to take him a little time. He's coming in at the start of the quarter here, and he's got to get involved with the system and figuring it out. But that's the great piece for him being here now is he's got an opportunity to learn, cut down that learning curve here during spring practice.
Chuck, I've been noticing that Coach DeBoer has been interacting with a lot of alums on his Twitter, and I haven't stalked your Twitter account yet, so I have no idea what you've been putting on Twitter, but have you had a chance to meet up and interact with ex-players, alums?
Yeah, what's been really cool, it seems like, almost on a daily basis, there's guys coming in the building, and I think you just sense the pride, which is really cool because when you got alumni that bleed the colors, really believe in the place, it's our responsibility to carry the torch forward. And when you hear from those guys, it really puts it in your heart that you've got to do everything you can do to continue to make them proud of their alma mater. And so I think that's something that Kalen and Coach DeBoer has believed in a long time, is involved in the alumni, and it's great having them around.
What are your memories of, you mentioned 25 years now in the business, what are your memories of the early days of these guys?
Shoot, man. Of the staff?
Just the team, the program in general.
The program, 25, of this team right now?
Yeah.
Of this team right now?
Not the kids, and they were like 5 years old.
Right.
Talking about the history of the program.
The history of Washington football. Yeah. Well, obviously it's got, it's a blue blood program. And, just even when I can think about coming out of, about the time I was coming out of high school was when, obviously they were in the national championship game, and obviously they were the biggest ticket anywhere in the country, and that was probably my formative years of, really embracing college football, and to see that success sustained over a long period of time. I think that's probably what gets lost at times, is how difficult it is to sustain success over generations of players, and so it's exciting to be a part of that now.
You've got two, former quarterbacks who are about to be drafted in the first or second day of the draft. I'm wondering how much you think you have left at that position when you're looking for?
Well, there's some young talent, so that's, it's going to be an untested spot for us a little bit, but I think there's also talent in the room. I think some of those guys have had fantastic off-season training segments here. I think Mish Powell, stuck out right away. Obviously, Coach DeBoer put him on scholarship first day in the building, and he's been very productive, had some productive run last year, and man, he hasn't looked back. I think he's been definitely one of those guys that's been a leader for that group. I think Elijah Jackson has tremendous upside, and he's hungry, young player that's willing to get after it. And then, Jordan Perryman's come in and transferred, grad transferred in for us, and very experienced, and probably right now, strength-wise and speed-wise, one of our pound for pound strongest and fastest players on the defensive side of the ball. So I hate to leave anybody out, but that's a competitive group there right now, and it is young, though.
Where are the strongest competitions right now? If I'm going to look at one or two, I know you're going to say all, but
yeah,
maybe one or two to focus on where you're just.
Yeah, I think the one we just talked about. I think corner. I think that's a big time competition, and you got a lot of guys that have been brought up in a obviously in a DB culture that they know how to work, and here they're going to get their opportunity coming up this spring. So I'd say that one for sure. And then I think we certainly got to sort out some stuff. On the interior defensive line right now with some young guys that will get some chances here coming up this spring. Obviously moving MJ into that picture over there, so there'll be some stiff competition there as well.
Anybody going to miss spring ball? Coach Brett mentioned a couple ringbacks that are out for him.
Yeah, I think Coach DeBoer is talking about the injury stuff, update stuff coming up here.
Any other big position changes on your defensive side?
No, not really. Nope. Thanks, guys. Yep, thanks, guys.